Okay, I'm clicking start webinar.
Hi, everyone. Just letting everyone log on, then we'll get started. Thank you, everyone who's joining. We're just going to give it 1 minute because it looks like people are still logging on, and then we'll get started. Okay. All right, I think we'll get started. I'm sure some other people will trickle in, but we have a lot of content to go through tonight. So want to make sure we have time for everything and time for a lot of questions at the end. Hello and welcome to our summer 2023 Health and Medicine Pre-College Programs webinar. My name is Olivia Letourneau. I'm the Marketing Associate at Pre-College Programs and University College at Tufts. I'm filling in tonight for Tony Gao, our Associate Director of Mini Med School. He unfortunately couldn't join us tonight, but we have plenty of other program leads joining us that will be able to provide you with a lot of great information. We're really excited that everyone's joining tonight and super excited to get to all of your questions at the end. Tonight, we're talking about our Mini Med School, our Lab Science Investigations Program, Adventures in Veterinary Medicine, Tufts Summer Research Experience. Why do I feel like I'm forgetting one? But I believe that's all of them. We will get started with a couple intros. We'll go through content about each of our programs, and then the end will be driven completely by you with your Q&A. So any questions that you come up with during the presentation, please put them into the Q&A box of your Zoom screen. We will only be answering questions there. Our chat box is going to be out of function so that we can keep track of everyone's question and make sure we hit all of them. So with that, let's introduce the rest of the team on tonight, beginning with Sally.
Hi, everybody. Good evening. It's so nice to see all of you join us and be so interested in our programs. I am currently one of our pre-college programs program administrators, and I'm currently the interim program lead for our Tufts Summer Research Experience. And I'll pass it along to Barry.
Sorry, I was looking to see who's looking for the eye contact. I still do that. My name is Barry Jacques. I'm an associate professor of medical education and the director of Center for Science Education. My expertise is in immunology, so I teach immunology for most of the professional programs, and I'm a lead on Mini Med School. I'm thrilled to tell you more about Mini Med and address questions you may have. Revati.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session. My name is Revati Masalamani, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Medical Education at Tufts School of Medicine and the director of the Lab Science Investigations Program, which we'll talk about more. But essentially, it's giving students a real-life lab experience focused around antimicrobial resistance. John.
Hi, good evening. My name is John Shinyer. I'm the Recruitment Outreach Director and Program Lead for Adventures in Veterinary Medicine. And sort of what that essentially means is overseeing our Adventures in Veterinary Medicine program for this summer and for our middle schoolers this spring. And then also my responsibility throughout the rest of the year is really to recruit for our graduate programs and DVM program at the veterinary school.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. So just a little overview of what we'll talk about tonight. We'll go over all of our health and medicine programs, beginning with Mini Med School and ending with Tufts Summer Research Experience. We'll talk a little bit about the application process and then right to the Q&A. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Barry and talk about the Mini Med School program.
All right, so I'll talk about a few of our mini med programs. So first, the goals, we have 3 different iterations of mini med school that are variants. They're slightly different. So I'll talk about the focuses of each of those programs. We have, but they all have similar goals, which is to learn some medical sciences, network with medical students and professors, develop a sense of belonging, and have a lot of fun. Get a sense of what it feels like to be in medical school and to hear from experts on a number of topics and to do a range of hands-on things. One of the key features of all of our programs are that our TAs are medical students, rising second-year medical students. So usually in groups of 1 to 10 or 1 to 15, they're your point people during the day. They're doing the instruction on how to do CPR, on how to suture, on how to do labs if you're in the virtual program. And then our programs have 5 main strands. You're going to hear career talks. So experts on a range of topics will come and speak about their research and their career path. We have labs, microbiology labs, anatomy labs, and hands-on labs. We have clinical experiences, which is going to our brand new sim center if you're in person, and suturing and working on mannequins, doing IVs. And then we have patient case studies and final projects where we make videos that we showcase. Can you click the next slide for me? Awesome. So this year we're launching a new clinical experiences program, which is a 1-week program instead of 2. This basically is very similar to the 2-week program, but it has less career talks, and it really focuses on those hands-on clinical experiences like suturing, doing IVs, CPR, and being in the sim center. Next, that's a student right there from last year putting in an IV in the photograph. Here's students doing a microbiology lab. Oh, I'm sorry, that's Ravety's slide, but that is a microbiology lab.
Barry, were you all done? I'm sorry, I might have clicked ahead a little too soon.
No, I'll just say one more thing that our virtual program, our remote program also has a microbiology lab that's a feature of it, and we're adding to it suturing and other hands-on dissection labs and such. So again, all of these are focused on getting your hands having a component of doing that hands-on activity and the work that you do as a physician, and then hearing from experts. And mostly, I think the heart of it, and what our students usually report as being a favorite part, is getting to know the medical students. What did they do in college? What did they do in college to get into medical school? What's their experience like? Why are they in medicine? Okay, and I'll stop there for questions after.
Awesome. All right, we'll turn over to Revati.
Yeah, this is a new program. We're very excited about sharing it with everyone. It's called the Lab Science Investigations Program. And as I said at the beginning, it focuses on a significant public health challenge of our times, which is the emergence of antibiotic resistance or antimicrobial resistance in microorganisms that cause disease. The really interesting nature of this problem is that, as the CDC has defined it, it is a One Health problem, which means that it really requires support and expertise across domain areas. And that is what we hope students will experience when they come to Tufts. They will hear from veterinarians, clinicians, policy people, environmental engineers, scientists, and work with them and learn from them. The main feature of this session, this 2-week session, is going to be a lab strand where they're basically collecting citizen science real-world data and contributing to a surveillance database that scientists then use to analyze the development of AMR in the soil. And as part of the program, just like MiniMed, the students will be very closely mentored by students along the spectrum of the research career. So undergraduates who are into labs, graduate students whose main focus is getting a PhD in a science discipline, postdocs who have finished their PhD and are now looking to continue their research as more independent scientists. And then, of course, as I said, full-blown, scientists, clinicians, vets. So there's really going to be this great space to learn to be a scientist, to think like a scientist, and to problem solve in a domain that is a real-world problem and contribute to understanding. And what we hope that students will take away from this is a sense of how to give back and how to contribute to this problem. So their final project or capstone project is going to be around trying to propose solutions towards stewardship of antibiotics in their communities, which is a big communication is a big feature of the scientific process of communicating from where science happens at the bench back to populations. And so we're hoping that our students who come in this summer will really be a conduit and a pathway to that. So yeah, and I'll leave for the questions for this for later.
Awesome, thank you. Now over to our Adventures in Veterinary Medicine program, which is a new program for this year.
Yeah, we're super excited. This program has been running on the Cummings campus for over 30 years. So we have, had this experience for high schoolers and middle schoolers for quite some time. And the really ideal thing for us is really the way that our campus is set up so that our hospital is right next to our learning spaces. And we also have both a large and small animal clinics. And so our students are learning from both, as well as our wildlife clinic and our working farm. So students really get the experience of what it's like to be at in a full veterinary program over the course of 2 weeks, where they're learning about animal handling, they're doing physical examinations. So similar to the mini med program, they learn suturing skills, and they work on simulation models and sort of latex kind of simulation pieces that they really sort of mimic the experience that they would have, in a school like ours. And they are also getting sort of lectures, workshops, and seminars on things like animal nutrition and animals in the environment, and also this One Health concept of really the whole ecosystem is dependent upon each other. So animals are an important part of that, both for humans and for the rest of the planet. We also will be taking field trips to animal related spaces. So we'll have things like a trip to an aquarium, to a zoo, as well as a large working food production farm operation, and actually the Tufts Medical School as well. So we're going to have these overlapping experiences. It's really exciting. I think it's also students get to experience with our program, not only being on the Medford campus as part of the Tufts community there, but then coming out to the Grafton campus where the veterinary school is located.
Awesome, thank you so much. And last but certainly not least, our Tufts summer research experience.
Thanks so much, Olivia. So I'm here to talk about the Tufts Summer Research Experience, or TSRE for short. It's a 6-week program which gears towards introducing students to academic and scientific research at Tufts University, which is a top-tier research and teaching institution. Students in this program will be admitted into a lab conducting active research across Tufts campuses in Medford, Somerville, the Boston Health Sciences campus, and the Grafton Veterinary School campus. This year, we have spots available for residential, commuter, and virtual students. In terms of the general schedule for TSRE, broken up into both a morning and afternoon block. So in the morning block, students will be conducting their research with their assigned labs. And then in the afternoon, students will be participating in afternoon sessions, varying from journal clubs, where students will read various scientific articles and journals, and discuss how to analyze academic work, library sessions with our librarian to explore Tufts University's extensive library networks, guest speakers ranging from active research Tufts faculty members to external organizations such as the Koch Institute and Fenway Health, who are also committed to research, and so much more. Students will leave this program with an incredible experience working in a research lab and a better understanding of how to conduct research and discuss findings with a variety of different audiences. The program will end with an end of the program poster symposium, where students will present their own discussing their work over the summer. And yes, students do get to keep their research posters, which is also super cool. Just something to note, While the priority deadline of applications for this program has passed, and admissions decisions for the priority applicants who submitted their application on February 15th will be released by early next week at the latest. We will still be accepting applications until our May 1st deadline. Once the May 1st deadline has passed, we'll send out another batch of applications for our labs to review to determine program admission. So with all of that, you've now probably heard about all of our amazing programs, and you're ready to start your application to join us at Tufts this summer. The process itself is pretty straightforward, and you can begin by logging onto our website at precollege.tufts.edu and click on the Apply Now button that is located on each of our program web pages. From there, you'll create an account to complete a short program application where you'll let us know who you are, what program you're interested in, the in which you want to participate, and information for a letter of recommendation, transcript, and parent permission form. Now, once you submit your program application, communications will go out to your school, your recommender, and parent or guardian to complete these required materials. Once you submit your program application, and we have also received all of your application materials, for most of our programs, we will be able to review your application within 10 business days. Like I've noted, for the Tufts Summer Research Experience, currently have a deadline of May 1st for a second round of application review. Once the May 1st deadline passes, students should expect an admissions decision within 10 business days. And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it back to Olivia to begin moderating our question and answer session.
Thank you, Sally, and thank you everyone tonight for talking about your programs. Gotten a lot of questions in the chat, so I will jump right into it. First one I see here, I do see, Barry, that you started writing it, but I think it's a good one to answer out loud. What is the daily schedule like for mini med school? What can people expect, on an average day?
Good. I was trying to look up a picture, but I just realized it doesn't doing. Sorry for my typos on my earlier questions. I was going like this, and there's no red underlining. Anyways, we'll address that later. The daily schedule is pretty busy. So in mini med, our 2-week and 1-week program, the day usually kicks off around 8:30. When you're going to be going, you're going to be getting breakfast by 9 o'clock. If you're headed to the medical campus, you'll be on a bus coming down to the medical campus, or you'd be, if you're on the Medford campus, you'd be eating breakfast and then going off to a session. And every day has a combination of those main themes that we're talking about, meaning the days that we're on the medical campus, for example, you'll be in your groups, you'll be doing rotations through the sim center, through the anatomy labs, and then we have our guests or speakers and keynote speakers. You'd get a break in the middle of the day to have lunch, obviously, and then you'd have a speaker. So essentially each day has 1 or possibly 2 seminar talks from an expert about their careers and their area of expertise. Work in a small group on your capstone project, making a video, and then the hands-on things where you're learning the specific skills. Usually the days wrap up around 5, even sometimes 5:30. And then the evenings, it's time to hang out, spend time with your, with your friends that you've met. And then on the weekends, we don't have programming. There's other programming available through, field trips to beaches or other things around the area, but not within the mini medical school programming. So please, post up questions if that leaves more questions or addresses them all.
Awesome.
Okay.
You did mention you did a capstone project. Could all of you go into what a capstone project looks like at the end if your program has one?
Yeah, so we have 2 types of capstones. Our 2-week programs, the virtual and in-person program, students are paired they're placed in groups of 3 or 4 to make a video that expresses and communicates an important health topic accurately. And then the final day of the programs, we have a gala where you rate each other's videos from the groups. And the top rated videos are streamed live in our final closeout for families and post. And if the creators want, we post them on our website. So you can Google Tufts Center for Science Education and you can see playlists of the videos from capstone projects, which are very cool. For clinical experiences this year, we're going to have something more like a conference session the last day where we're going to have stations set so students can showcase and actually perform the skills that they've learned throughout the session for their peers and families.
Anyone else on the panel have a capstone project?
Yes, and I think I briefly alluded to it, but I can talk about it in more detail. Our capstone project will basically, this is for the lab science investigations around AMR, antimicrobial resistance program. We are looking to cultivate, a cadre of informed young citizens that can take back the information that they've learned through this program, both in terms of research skills as well as antibiotic stewardship, which is, as I said, a significant public health problem. And so we're hoping that the capstone will be a proposal of how they will take and share back this information with their communities, whether that is, their communities of peers in school or their neighborhood or their middle school, younger students. But so we're really excited about collaborating with this, with other programs that consider leadership for social change as one of their main goals. So yeah.
Great. John, did you have anything to add for AVM? We lose John.
Not specifically. They won't really have like a capstone project, but there is sort of a cumulative kind of like case study experience that we're working on building out. So students are really sort of stacking their skill set over the 2 weeks, and potentially coming up with a solution to a problem or identifying what's wrong with an animal or something like that. So
Great, thank you. I'm going to combine a couple of questions here. We have a lot of questions on weekend activities, other types of programming outside of the program, as well as field trips. So I don't know if someone wants to take a stab at some of those, if not all of them, of what students can expect to do, outside their program and within the scope of their program that's outside the regular day.
Yeah, I can take a quick stab at that. So we are sort of planning out, I believe, some of our residential life aspects with our residential partner. We did, last summer was the first summer that we had been back on campus after a couple of years of just being fully virtual. Our residential life staff last summer were able to work on really exciting excursions, both during the week after on the weekends for students. While I don't have a finalized list yet of all of the activities that will be offered for students to take part in throughout the course of the week and the weekend, some of the activities that were done last year were things like Red Sox games on the weekends, trips out to various museums and historical sites in the city of Boston, if that's something that you're interested in. During the week, our residential life staff would host movie nights, other TV show nights, game nights, fun football, soccer, frisbee out on the residential quad, where you will likely be residing this summer. And so, yeah, we're really excited to be able to offer our residential students this summer hopefully a really exciting sort of first step or first foray into what collegiate life.
Great, thank you, Sally. Sally, the spotlight probably stays on you for 1 second. There's a lot of questions about scholarship and financial aid. I'm wondering if we could talk a little bit about that.
Yes, so I can definitely also talk about financial aid. At this time, we currently only offer financial aid to U.S. citizens and U.S. permanent residents. Unfortunately, we currently are not able to extend financial aid to international students at this time. However, we do offer financial aid for those who are eligible and are in need. How you can let us know you are interested in financial aid for one of our programs is we actually ask a question on the program application asking if you would be interested in completing a financial aid application. If you mark that checkbox as yes and you submit your program application, a financial aid application will be available to you on your applicant portal, which you can then fill out with your parent and guardian. Once you submit that financial aid application, your application will our pool of financial aid review, which often takes anytime between 1 to 3 times a month, depending on where we are in the application cycle. At this time, we are currently reviewing financial aid about once or twice a month. And we'll review your financial aid application and determine if you are eligible for aid. And we will communicate that to you by email by providing you an email update, letting you know if you have been awarded aid, and if so, how much that is. If you have been deferred for the next round of financial aid review, or if at this time we are unfortunately unable to grant you aid. So that's just the quick rundown of how the financial aid process will work. And if you have any further questions about that, I'd be happy to answer.
Great. Thank you, Sally. Could you talk a little bit about the topics for TSRE this year? I know we have a couple different labs.
Yeah, so this summer, we currently have 4 labs that are open to students. The first is our Discovery Pathology for Infectious Research Lab. The principal investigation is Dr. Amanda Martineau, who is located at the Cummings School of Veterinary Medicine. And her lab focuses specifically on infectious disease research and how, that obviously impacts global health. Our second lab is located in our Boston Health Sciences campus and is the Mossafarian Research Lab, and they are focused on dietary priorities for obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases, and on evidence-based policy approaches to reduce these burdens in both the United States and globally. Our third lab option is our Nutrition, Exercise, Physiology, and Sarcopenia Laboratory, which is also going to be located in our Boston Health Sciences campus. This lab conducts studies to understand age-related changes in skeletal muscle structure and function, and also seeks to understand the role that nutrition and exercise play in the process. And our last available lab for this summer is located on our Medford Somerville campus with our Development of Identity and Community Engagement Lab located in our Child Study and Human Development Department, where the research that's conducted is on how adolescents and young adults make decisions about whether and how to be civically engaged, and whether or how they aim to promote social justice in their civic actions. So there is, a little bit of everything that is offered in terms of our lab options for TSRE this year.
Thank you, Sally. Yes.
Hey, Olivia, I was gonna say, I noticed a number of questions talking about going off campus, and it kind of relates to the field trip thing, but I know students in Mini-Med last year that had permissions from parents really enjoyed being able to go to Davis Square. And I was wondering if you could just talk about what that process is like and how we make sure that students are in a safe environment when they are off campus.
Yeah, Sally, you can probably speak a little bit better than I can, being a program admin, but
Yeah, so students, once they are admitted to our programs, will be required to complete a series of post-enrollment forms. They range anywhere from, telling us a little bit more about who you are, your residential preferences, any sort of dietary concerns, restrictions, allergies that you might have, to giving us permission to, videos of you that we can share with future interested students and families. And most importantly, I guess to this question, is our unsupervised offsite permission form. Now, this form is optional for students to complete. So if you aren't necessarily, interested in going off campus without any supervision during your time in one of our programs, you won't need to complete that form. However, if you would like a little bit more of that freedom to do things like go to the market down the street to grab some snacks with you and your friends, or going down to Davis Square to grab a bite to eat at one of the delicious restaurants that are there, this is definitely a form that you will want to complete with your parent or guardian. Once you've completed this form, we obviously keep it know that you have this permission to go off-site without firm supervision. However, we still will have policies and processes in place for students to ideally, not be alone going off-site unsupervised, trying to stay as much in groups as possible, checking in and checking out with your resident assistant, your RA that will be located on your floor during your stay in one of our dorms. And so we do have processes in place to make sure that students are, leaving, but then obviously coming back and enjoying all that we have to offer here in our dorms and on campus. And we also do have a curfew that is strictly enforced in our dorms as well as trained resident life staff that will be on duty around the clock to make sure that students are safe and sound. So yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Sally. There was a lot of questions about the AVM program as far as residential living. So I just wanted to clarify that AVM students do also stay on the Medford campus and then will be transported to the Grafton campus or taken out to field trips as the day decides as far as the schedule goes, but they do stay on the same campus as the rest of the pre-college students. So just to answer a couple that came in about that. Let me see what else we have going on here. A lot of questions about how many accepted students to each of your programs. I know it varies a little bit, so I don't know if each of you want to touch upon it.
Sure. For mini-med, our online program, our virtual program, I think we're going to keep a cap around 100 students. Our in-person programs, our max capacity is going to be 130 students in each.
Our program, Lab Science Investigations program, will be accepting 70 students, so it's capped at that.
We cap both of our sessions at 40 students. So it's that's primarily due for the safety of our participants and the size of the available spaces for students to use. That's our main restriction. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yep, and for the Tufts Summer Research Experience this year, we do have a very limited number of spots available at around 6 spots. We definitely have high interest, and if you are interested in applying, we do recommend that you apply right away so that your application will be one of the first reviewed with the next batch of applications.
Perfect. Thank you. We did have a COVID question. There's a requirement for the vaccine. There's questions about boosters. So if we could just go over our COVID policy and what the expectation is going into the summer so far. If anyone has a good answer.
I mean, I can address this as to the best of my knowledge. So the university's COVID policies are on a website. The university does make medically related exemptions or accommodations and religious accommodations, but that wouldn't be up to any of us who are involved in the programming and acceptance. That would be up to the COVID committee, and they are quite hard to get. So generally, you are going to need to be vaccinated and boosted to be on campus as a student. This rule is exempted or accommodated very rarely.
Just to add a quick note about the booster, we are not requiring the bivalent booster at this time. We are just you can correct me if I'm wrong, Barry, here, but you don't need the bivalent booster. You just need to show proof of 1 additional booster shot.
Thank you both. If my child applies to 1 session, I'm assuming this is mini med school, and is not admitted to that session, are they considered for other sessions?
This would have been great if Tony Gow were here to answer that question specifically, but I believe you apply to one of the sessions or the other session. I don't believe you don't get automatically moved to one of the other sessions.
Okay, so if they are interested in another section and aren't admitted to their first choice, then the advisement would be to apply to that other section.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah,
Uh,
ours is a
I'm
little
sorry.
bit different. So we, once we hit our admissions capacity, we then operate on a wait list system. There will there will sometimes be times when we offer spots from one wait list to another session as an option if we feel they're a strong candidate, but they applied for a session that was particularly strong. So we may admit a student for a different session than they applied to, with the understanding that that may not be possible. So,
Yep. And if a student is waiting in one of the sessions and they would get a specific notice saying the session's full, we recommend you go here. Would you like us to move your applications? So that would happen at that point. If you have additional questions about that, please email Tony Gao on the website and ask.
Perfect. Thank you. Could you tell us about a typical day for the Lab Science Investigations program, including social activities and travel into Boston? Oh, I think you're
Oh,
muted.
sorry, I unmuted and then muted. A typical day in the lab science investigation program will involve, the entire cohort of students attending seminars from experts. As I mentioned, this is a program that really is interdisciplinary, and so they will be hearing from a range of experts, veterinarians, clinicians, environmental engineers, folks in biotech, and policy people. And so that's a huge range of areas to sit through and absorb. And then we're going to have a significant component, which is a lab bench research component. So in all the questions about the Tufts research experience, we just want to highlight that our lab science investigations program is going to have a significant bench research component to it for those who are interested. Also, there will be a lot of problem solving activities. So that's when the students will break off and work in small groups with their TAs, who are going to be students from graduate school or instructors who are postdocs. And then there will be work around the capstone project. We are planning a few field trips, one to the vet school, one to potentially a biotech industry, where they can see how antimicrobial resistance is something that is a big component of industry research. And then there will be evening time will be similar to mini med. It will be their own time. They can socialize. They can leave campus and do other fun things.
Great, thank you. Some residential questions. So for students living in the dorms, will they, one, be able to use Tufts facilities such as the gym? And two, are they boarding with other students within their program or just with other students in pre-college as a whole?
Yeah, thanks so much for that question, Olivia. So yes, while you are here as a student at Tufts, that means you will have access to all of our facilities, including our libraries, study spaces, dining halls, gym, track, field, all of that good stuff. One of the many forms that we'll ask you to complete for us once you're admitted into one of our programs is actually a photo submission for your photo ID card. Once you're here on campus to check in for your programs, if you are a on-campus student, as a residential student or a commuter student, you will be receiving an ID card as a part of your check-in, and that will be sort of your golden ticket to access pretty much all of the facilities at Tufts that you'll have access to. And was there a second part to that question, Olivia?
Dorming with students, are they going to be dorming with other people in their program or just within pre-college?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say it's probably going to be a mix of the two. We do have programs, obviously, that are running concurrently, so at the same time as each other. So you may be paired up with another student that is a part of your program. You may also find that you are rooming with, or maybe even on the same floor as, other students that are a part of a different program. If you do have any sort of specific requests, so say, for example, a friend that is also going to be coming to, a pre-college program of ours this summer and you'd like to room with them, you can make a note of that in our residential survey, and we will do best to sort of accommodate all of your preferences to make sure that you have a fun time living in our dorms this summer.
Perfect. Thank you. A couple of mini med school ones I'm going to group together. Can we talk about the daily life for the clinical program, as well as what the lab side of the virtual program looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. I was writing another answer to a different question about what the clinical experiences are, so don't let me forget that one too. Oh geez, I forgot the first one you said now. What did you say?
Clinical experiences, and then what the labs look like for the virtual.
Okay. Yeah, so I think one of the distinctions between the 2-week program and clinical experiences really is that clinical experiences is a concentration of the hands-on clinical experiences. All right. So it has less seminars and it doesn't have the field trips, right? But it has the majority of the hands-on experiences, and it still has seminars, but again, less of them. So if you're looking for an experience that will be shorter and it will really capitalize or emphasize on those hands-on experiences, this would probably be a really nice fit. The 2-week program has the wider array of mini-med experiences. As far as the labs at home, so the labs at home, we have suturing, we have dissections, and we have a lab kit that's a microbiology lab kit. All of these are safe for home use. We mail them to every student in advance. We let you know and coordinate when it happens so you can get it in the fridge. In all the labs, you have to complete a BSL-1 safety training to do all the labs in both of any of our programs, actually. And then online, you do prep for the lab on your own, and then you meet to do the lab in your small group with 8 or 9 other students and your medical student TA. It's a blast. It's the majority of the day actually is getting prepped for and doing the labs in the groups and then hearing seminars and talks. So some of the clinical experiences that will be going on for the in-person program, we have dissections, CPR, intubation, IV use, putting in IVs, and then we learn a number of skills that build up to running a full simulation. So we have mannequins that will experience a significant health event. And as a team, based on what you've learned, you're going to have to take the vitals and figure out what to do with the mannequin. These are the same materials we use with our surgeons actually to train intubation. So it's a real deal.
Sweet. I'm going to add one more on for the 2-week in-person mini med school. If they're commuting, do they come eat breakfast at 8 a.m. and leave at 5:30, or they just come in for lab work? So they're kind of just wondering when they should schedule their time.
Yeah, we had students last year, depending on where they lived, who were commuting. So let's say the day's experience is on the Medford campus, the main campus. The students would go straight there, and all of the dining halls are there with the food and everything. So they would be able to do breakfast and lunch there when they get there, and they would get picked up there. For the days we're on the Boston campus, students did either last year. Either they would go to the Medford campus and then take the bus, or they would get dropped off by their family members on the Boston campus because it was more convenient to where they were. In that case, we have their lunches and food brought down as a bag lunch. Every student that comes to the Boston campus brings their lunch. We put it in a refrigerator or a cooler so that it's available.
Thank you.
Yep.
Will there be an opportunity to meet current freshman students on campus to learn firsthand about their first year at Tufts? Maybe if you guys could speak to what kinds of mentorship talks are available during their time on campus, who some of their TAs are, and other program leads and program staff.
I can certainly quickly speak to veterinary. I mean, we are our program mentors, so they each lead a smaller group of students out of each session. Our program mentors are our current graduate veterinary students in our doctoral program. So they're typically, maybe a couple of years, 3-4 years removed from their undergraduate experience and, whatever they studied at the undergrad, and then they're in the first 3 years of their DVM program, and then they're doing this as part of they actually get credit for assisting with this in addition to getting paid. So
mini med is similar. All of our TAs are medical students. They're rising second years, which means they've completed 1 year of medical school. Some of our students in medical school are only a year out from having been in college. All right. Some of them have had a lot of life experiences between college and medical school. But we have panels with our medical students who talk about their college experiences, what they did in college, things that they learned and focused on related to their career choices.
So,
In lab science investigations, we will have a combination of a near-peer mentorship from undergrads, senior undergrads, to the high school students, as well as graduate students and postdocs who are further along in their research careers. In addition to, career talks from experts from many different disciplines. So I think it'll be a nice combination of different rungs of the research ladder for students to experience.
awesome. Thank you all. We had a question about what students are most grateful for once they've left the program. If you have any student testimonials in mind, might be a little more difficult for our newer programs, but if you could speak to maybe some of the main outcomes from the program when they complete it, or what advantages they might have going into their maybe final years of high school with this experience.
I can speak a little bit to TSRE. We have a lot of students that come in with this sort of idea, or a very, I think, a specific idea of what scientific research or academic research looks like at a college or university. I know I certainly did when I, was a high school student. I thought that research took place with strictly only lab goggles, white lab coats, test tubes, and you're, pouring chemicals back and forth and seeing what happens. I think this program really shows students that there is definitely research available that is like that. But there's also so many other different areas and types of research that you can get into that is not like that, and utilizes different methods and ideas and ways of discovering, retrieving, analyzing, and understanding new information. And so I think that's something that students really take for granted, or really take to note, and really find themselves enjoying. I think students also just really appreciate the experience of being able to work in an active research lab at a university like Tufts, where, we do have leading scholars and practitioners conducting research on our campuses, and the mentorship that they receive from the principal investigators and the other members of the lab are truly second to none, and I think have really allowed our participating students to form a really good idea of, what they want to continue to pursue as they, finish up their high school career and are ready to take that next step into college.
Anyone else have anything?
I'm amazed at how much of a bond gets built between the students and the TAs in a short period of time, and even with myself and other faculty members. I mean, students really have a wonderful experience with each other, getting to, as I say, nerd out and get into a science topic and to envision themselves in the careers. It's a really powerful thing. We've had students stay in touch with me and other people. They come to campus later on to visit. I really think it's a nice way to explore an area of interest that you have and to hopefully make some lifelong friends.
I can speak a little to the LSI experience. It's a new program. So what I think students will really get charged with in this program is learning that science, as Sally said, in a way, that science is not one way fits all for everybody. And there's really a lot of cross-domain interaction that has to happen. And we wish that could translate back into our world to solve some of the problems of today, right? Where instead of being in our silos, we can talk across expert domains to come to solutions. So one big focus of this program is going to be that collaborative problem solving, communications, and really we see it as an entry-level program or a next-level program for students who are interested in bench research and who, oftentimes don't have the opportunity to enter into lab spaces that's quite so early on, like starting 9th grade. And so we think this is a fantastic way to really get students some lab research time.
You see what else we have going on here.
Yeah, I just
sorry.
wanted to share briefly too that some of our program mentors went through this program as high school students themselves. So we regularly see participants, in terms of what they're getting out of it. They're earning some animal experience that can count towards graduate school when they get here. But also we regularly see a lot of like our AVM participants end up applying to vet school and specifically at Tufts because our campus is kind of unique for this. So.
Thank you all. I had some questions about, application requirements. Could we speak to GPA minimum requirements and other things that would look good to beef up your application?
Yeah, I can go ahead and just quickly take over. If folks can talk a little bit about, what you're sort of looking for in an ideal applicant for one of your programs, that'd be great.
Am I gonna go? I'm happy to go.
Yeah.
So for mini med, I mean, really, what we're looking for are students we feel are qualified, who are mature, and who are interested. All right. So we do have minimum GPA requirements. We expect that the students have taken a certain level of science classes, just so that they're kind of they've had the basic background in science, so that we think they can thrive in the program. And then we ask for a letter of recommendation from a teacher, usually a science teacher is best. Again, just to show that the person is interested and that they're gonna succeed in the program.
I would just say that the requirements for lab science investigations are very similar. We're not looking for a specific grade, but just a consistent interest and a consistent performance record in science and math related subjects. And I think communication, as I mentioned, is important. So language would be good, but not necessary. And also just interest in learning new science and in solving problems with research as a focus. So I would say that would be what we were looking for.
Yeah, and ours is just a little bit different. A lot of our admissions requirements as one of the selective programs for this is similar to mini-med and some of the other areas in that, we're looking for consistent academic performance so that a student is prepared to step into our classrooms and our labs and be able to understand and engage with pretty much everything that's going on. The other thing that we want to ensure is that a student has had some sort of experience and exposure to working with animals, and that can be as simple as students who may have household pets, or they've perhaps done 4-H, or they've taken the time out to volunteer to shelter, rehab, or shadow a veterinarian, or they run a dog walking business or something like that. It's pretty wide ranging. We also have quite a few students who join us from family farms, or they've been riding horses and things like that, and so they're interested in veterinary medicine as part of thinking about their livelihood or their sport or their hobbies. So yeah, and we count all of that. So if you've been riding horses for 15 years, or you've got two goldfish at home, or you walk your neighbor's dog every day, or any of that, but also if you just have a job at like Petco, all that stuff can count. We want to make sure that you feel comfortable around animals, as we are going to be handling and approaching them for pretty much for 2 weeks straight. So yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody. There is a question that I'd like to answer, and it is about logistics for travel. How do kids get to and from the airport? Are they picked up? So yes, one of the information, we will ask for travel information for all students to complete, so we know how you are going to be getting to our beautiful campus located in Medford, Somerville to check in for our programs. We will be offering shuttle services from Boston Logan International Airport, as well as South Station. Yeah, South Station for sure, potentially two of our other train stations located at Back Bay and North Station. Students will need to submit this information to us, and then we will go ahead and coordinate a pickup schedule based on, you know, times that students are arriving at these various locations to pick them up from the train station, bus station, airport, to then, you know, head over to the Tufts campus. And we will do the same for them when they are finishing up their programs and need to return home for the rest of the summer. An important question for all of you: will there be any homework?
I was writing that one, and then I'm like typing, you know, furiously trying to answer questions. But so in mini med we try to really keep the evenings and weekends to yourself as much as possible. Our capstone work does sometimes fall into that space. That largely depends on how into it a group is. I mean, we have groups that make stop animation drawings. It's time consuming and they're having a blast, but it wasn't assigned that way. All right. And then we do have some examples of pre-watching videos on a technique before you would come to do things. But in general, the days are pretty long. So when the evening comes, we try not to overpack it.
Yeah, I would say the same for lab science investigations. We really would like to have them have their evenings free, but the capstone project, because it's group work, it might involve some, you know, after hours consultation or teamwork, but not a lot.
For TSRE, you can expect maybe some light, you know, to do assignments from maybe your labs if you're conducting research. For our journal club discussions that I mentioned a little bit earlier, where students are going to be discussing scientific articles and journals, you will be required to at least try to read them and try to see if you can get an understanding of, you know, what the topic is, what the research is, and how, you know, folks are finding out, you know, the results and what, you know, those results may be. So there may be some light assignments here and there, but I don't know if I would necessarily consider that as homework. I think I would say it's more preparation for your success. Okay, so I know we only have a couple more minutes left. So I think maybe we can finish off with our final slide in this presentation, where you can find all of the different ways that you can connect with us. We have our emails, our email address, phone number, as well as our website available for you here, as well as all of our other social media channels. Please feel free to connect with us. You know, we are currently experiencing a heavy volume of communications, both through the phone as well as by email, but we are responding to students and families as quickly as possible. Maybe we can finish off with, you know, maybe from each of the program leads and Olivia, you know, what you might be the most excited for this summer.
I'm just excited to have everyone back on campus again. It really makes the campus feel lively. I work with a lot of our social ambassadors, which I will probably be sending out later this month. But basically we have students on campus who volunteer to take pictures and videos of their time in the program. And we get a lot of good feedback from them about how much they enjoyed it. And a lot have made like lifelong friends leaving the program. So those are always great stories to hear at the end of the summer. So looking forward to that again.
Yeah, I always get really excited when it comes to the first days of the program, to the welcome and the launch, to see the energy in the rooms and to see people, you know, going in and getting to do stuff they've been looking forward to. But my favorite part really with the programs are the last days when students are proud of the work that they've done, the things they've assembled and they've learned, and the relationships they've built. And I mean, getting to see parents see that and see the students, you know, see what they've accomplished is really fantastic. It's the, you know, I kind of ride on that for the rest of summer until I teach again in the fall. It's an awesome thing.
I think for me, I'm excited about this new program launching. I'm excited about a great group of students coming onto campus and sharing their energy to do science and do research and learn from experts. And also, I'm really excited about their project and their capstone project that they can take back then with them to their communities and continue this long chain of ambassadorship and stewardship.
Yeah, we're also very excited to have our program back on campus this year after running it a couple years remotely. It's just sort of trying to instruct suturing on bananas over Zoom is a lot harder than doing it in person with synthetic latex. So and our students just have a really great time when they're actually able to like hold a chicken and handle a horse and things like that. So the other thing I wanted to say, because I think a lot of us looking just sort of back through our Q&A, I want to sort of encourage, all of the parents and, guardians and grownups here to check out the FAQs page on the pre-college website. I think you're going to find answers to a lot of your questions about how much does a program cost, the dates, packing lists, room and board information. All of that is we very intentionally built that site out to make sure we're answering all of these questions. So I certainly want to encourage you to use the pre-college FAQs page because it'll, I think, answer a lot of the questions that you have so that you're not waiting on a call back from our central office or an email back with a question that might already be available on our site. So.
And yeah, for me, I'm just really excited to welcome to our campus again. Like Olivia said, it is so fun to have students here over the summer taking advantage of all that Tufts has to offer. And for the programs that I help support, I'm just really excited for students to embark on a very, I think, unique educational and academic opportunity for them to grow as not only scholars in the classroom, but also just as people, the high school and now beginnings of the college experience. So yeah, that's I think what I'm most excited for. I'll turn it back to Olivia.
Awesome. Well, thank you for everyone for joining. Thank you for all of our panelists tonight for all their great information. We really appreciate everyone, coming in and asking your questions. Our applications are open and accepted on a rolling basis. So the faster you have your application in, the better the chance of, your application getting seen before we close our spots out. So thank you all again, and we look forward to reading your app soon. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.